let's talk gifts. It can be really hard to buy presents for someone who's super into a hobby because there are intricacies to the things that you want that a non-crocheter might not know about. So hopefully this will sidestep those potential problems and help you buy for the crocheting person you love, or just get yourself something cool. So this video is entirely inspired by the fact that I recently ordered myself some light up crochet hooks in a set, and they are something that I've been wanting to try for a while, and then I found the set that's light up crochet hooks and stitch counting crochet hooks. Two different things to try, and I'll do a whole testing thing in a separate video for you. But I just love that as an idea, and I think it's something that a lot of people don't have already that would make a really great novelty gift. It's got lots of different sizes of heads and they're detachable, so it works really well for people who like making different sizes of projects, and it's a bit of fun too. Stitch markers might seem like a basic thing or a thing that you'll already have loads of, but actually stitch markers are a bit of a minefield, aren't they? There are some people who really like one type, some people who really like another type. For me personally though, I think in general the safest bet to get as a gift is the nappy pin style ones. They are locking so they don't fall out the stitches, and they tend to have a fairly fine piece that goes through the stitch so it doesn't misshape them. The ones that look like a swirly whirly, they tend to get wider as they go around, which can distort the shape of the stitch, and I also find that they fall out at inopportune moments. So I'd avoid them for a gift. I'd also avoid ones that, however pretty they are like the safety pin ones with a pretty little tag or something on them. And the reason I'd avoid them is that they tend to come in really small packs. And anyone who crochets might have come across the issue that stitch markers just disappear. They just vanish, and having multitudes of ones that you are not emotionally attached to is generally preferable to having a couple that have an adorable design and that you're going to feel sad when you lose down the side of the sofa. In a similar vein, tapestry needles or yarn needles are a great gift. They also go walkabout quite a lot. Most of us use them, whether it's for sewing toys together or for hiding our loose ends. And because they're fine and small and frequently used, they frequently vanish. I in fact found one in my slipper this morning. No word of a lie. It was quite lucky that I didn't manage to stab myself with it. Yarn spinners are a good gift if you know your friend doesn't have one. If they don't have one and they ever buy yarn in hanks that are loose, that's a useful gift. But you should be aware that it is only really a useful gift if you also get them a Swift, which is the umbrella thing that goes next to it. Otherwise, what you're doing is kind of helping them whilst making them make an intricate kind of, this is me wrapping my yarn around my arms, strange pose position that's going to make their life maybe a little bit harder than easier. So a spinner is a really, really good gift if you get them a Swift as well and they don't already have one. Books are great gifts, and you can avoid most of the pitfalls by going really recent and really old. It's hard to know what's on your friend's bookshelf. I mean, if you live with them, if you're roommates or it's your partner, then obviously that's different. But if they're just a good friend or a family member, if you get them a popular book, chances are they've got it. Therefore, I would do one of these two things. I would either get them one that has been published within the last 6 months, nicely, hopefully narrowing down your window, or go vintage. I love vintage crochet books. The likelihood of them already having that particular one is slim. There are lots to find and seek out in thrift stores and charity shops and junk shops and antique shops. There are websites online where you can get specifically just second-hand books, like ABE books. Go find them something that is vintage. It will be amusing or inspiring, even if they never actually make the patterns in it. A great gift. Storage is a huge thing with crochet. We all have shelves of yarn or boxes of yarn, and if you know that they're lacking big yarn storage, then there's some really cute options that you can get with like pretty boxes and things like that. But you're generally better, a safer bet is to go with something a bit smaller, and the two best options in my view are little storage for things like safety eyes and stitch markers, which can come in little pots, boxes, cute tubs. You could even, you know, if you crochet yourself, you can crochet little storage for those as well. Something with lids is ideal for things that find themselves wandering off. Pencil cases are also loved by a lot of us for storing our crochet hooks in. I have a couple of different pencil cases for my crochet hooks. Just get ones that have got a few zip compartments, that's bound to be a winner. I also cannot recommend enough considering pegboards as a gift. Revolutionize storage in a craft room. If you know your friend has a craft room or a bedroom or a living room where they craft and they don't have great storage at the moment, pegboards are so good. And they come in all kinds of different colors and with so many cool accessories, little clips, little pots, things like that. Actually, it sounds slightly off the wall. Oh dear, that wasn't deliberate. But pegboards, really good gift for a crafter. And then we get inevitably to yarn, and that is a tricky one. And it's tricky because yarn has so much personal preference built into it. So this is what I would do. Obviously, if you know what they generally use, then that's great. Get them some of what they use. However, here's what I do. I would avoid big packs of different colored things, because there's very rarely a project that you can get lots of different little colored skeins and use them for. I mean, there are projects out there and they're gorgeous, but there's not that many of them. A general crocheter is much more likely to be able to make great use of 3 or 4 or more skeins of the same yarn in the same dye lot, batch number and everything, or a couple that are colours that go really well together that are the same yarn again. Now, there are certain brands that are a generally safe bet for a lot of people. A lot of people like Lion brand yarns. Currently, I use quite a lot of Hobie's cotton silk yarn and the Happy Place yarn as well I use, but I also use a lot of acrylic. And there again, you can get into some hiccups because some people really don't like acrylic yarn. I talk about it quite a lot here. And then there's the whole issue with wool. Now, if you don't know if your friend is able to use wool yarn, probably I'd avoid it. But if you're confident that they're not allergic to wool, then I think a really great safe bet for a huge number of crochet projects is to get a few skeins of the same colour and dye lot of merino wool yarn. Now, lots of different brands do merino wool, but it is fairly consistently a really lovely texture and a really, really nice wool to work with. So that is one that I would lean towards. But just be aware and don't do it if your feelings are easily hurt. Just don't buy yarn, because we get a lot of yarn and we buy a lot of yarn for ourselves, and it's better to focus in on a few quality bits of yarn than big fun packs, I think. Let me know if you agree. And finally, let's talk hooks. Hooks, again, way more of a minefield than you think. Now, obviously, I started off with a hook set, but individual hooks. Now, in general, clover hooks are very popular. You don't get them over here in the UK very often, but they're very big in America and generally well liked. But buying hooks, I would say you're onto a safer bet to get an individual sort of middle of the range size, like a 5.5mm ergonomic hook, so one with a grip that has got fabulous reviews. No one mentions burrs, catching, problems with the hook itself in those reviews. That's probably a safer bet than getting a big pretty hook set, because I think that most of us who've been in the hobby for long enough for that to be considered a gift, we've already got a few hook sets, but having individual really nice quality hooks, I think that can make a lovely addition. But I'd love to hear what you think. Do you agree with my suggestions? What other suggestions have I missed? What would you love to be given as a gift as a crocheter? Let me know in the comments section below and I'll chat to you there.